In this slidecast, we're going to look at the types of tenders. There are different ways that we can progress that tendering process. So the three different ways are open or public tender, selective tender, and a negotiated contract. The first one is open tender. In this case, what you do is you advertise to everyone. You put an ad in the paper, or you put something on the web and says, this is a project that we want someone to do, a contract that we're offering. Anyone can submit a bid. Now the advantage of that is that you'll have lots and lots of people, more companies that want to do it, so you'll get more tender bids. That means you've got more competition and possibly you'll get a lower price. But that's not always a good thing, because it might be that the organisation that offers the lower price can't actually do the job properly. So you'll end up with a shonky job done, or the project might fall over because the contractor can't do the job properly. So you're running a risk of ending up with someone that can't do the job properly with this. Another thing, the problem with this is that you do get a lot of organisations putting in tender bids. It costs a lot of money for an organisation to put together a tender bid. It costs thousands, sometimes millions of dollars. Good organisations, good contracting firms will look at an open tender and say, there's going to be 10, 20 people, 20 organisations putting in bids here. We only have a 1 in 10 chance of winning. It's not worth our while to put in to spend the money and time to put in a bid. So sometimes you don't end up with the good organisations doing that. The next one is a selective tender. This is where you pick a smaller group, maybe 3 or 4 construction companies that you know are good, that can do the job. So you select them first up. You identify them, and then you send them a letter or an email or something and say, this is what we're doing, we'd like to invite you to tender. And if they say yes, we do want to tender, you send them the tender document and they do it. So you end up with 3 or 4 organisations bidding for it. The advantage of this is that the good organisations, the good contracting firms, will actually want to do that because they've got a 1 in 3 chance of winning now. So it also means that you're going to end up with a company that you know can do the job. The disadvantage is that there's not so much competition, and any new firms who might be really good can't actually get a look in because they don't know about you. The last one is a negotiated contract. This is where you might want something done really quickly. You don't have time to go through the tendering process, or it might be that the works require real specialist work that only one company can do. In this case, you negotiate with one contractor. You don't advertise the work at all. You prepare the tender document, you go to the one contractor that you want to do the work, and you negotiate a contract. The disadvantage of this is obviously you've got no competition. There's no reason for the contractor to give you a very, very low price. If they're a responsible contractor, they'll give you a fair price, but it won't be as low as possible because there's no competition. The advantage is that it will happen really quickly, that you'll get the contractor starting work really quickly, and that you will have the person or an organisation that you know can do the job. Now there's a way to sort of mix this all up. It might be that you want to let everyone have a bit of a go at your contract, but you don't want you want the advantages of the selective tender. So what you can do is you can have a pre-qualification process, and this is happening more and more. So you've got 2 tendering processes happening essentially. The first tendering process is where everyone has a shot. It's an open tender, and what they're doing is that they are submitting their bids in order to get on a short list. They're not submitting their bids to win the contract. They're bidding to get on a short list which will allow them to bid for the contract. So you're doing an open tender here, and then you're doing selective tender there. So the pre-qualification process is you invite registrations of interest from all firms. So you open it up to everyone, say, here's what we're going to do, who's interested in providing a bid? So the construction companies will say, this is what we can do, this is what our resources, our skills, our experience. They will not provide a price to do the work. So you review the submissions and you make a short list of 3 to 6 companies that you are confident will be able to do the job, that you want to bid for it. Then you send them the documents, so you're now doing a selective process. So this part here is open tendering, this part here is selective process. Now it normally happens towards the end of the design process. You don't need a fully defined design, so you can do it maybe halfway through the design process, get that shortlist together, and then when you've got the detailed drawings together, that's when you do the selective tender with the shortlist. So there's a lot of advantages to a pre-qualification process, and you'll notice that a lot of government departments in particular are actually adopting this way of getting the best of both an open and selective tender.